There's a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from trying to meet standards that keep moving. You answered the phone every time he called, except the one time you fell asleep waiting. And that one time became the evidence. You didn't care enough. You should have set an alarm. The dozens of times you did answer suddenly didn't count. Just the one time you didn't. Or maybe it was the laundry that sat a day too long. The makeup you didn't put on. The way you answered or didn't answer a question. The meal you didn't cook. The house that wasn't clean enough. The way you looked after having a baby when your body was still trying to recover. Whatever the specific expectation was, and there was always more, the feeling underneath it was the same. You were always slightly failing, and somehow that was always about you. It wasn't. And that's what I want to talk about today. The expectations themselves can look like almost anything. How you dress or speak, whether you wear makeup and how much, how you keep the house, how often you cook, whether your body looks the way it did before children, whether you talk about relationship problems with anyone other than him, because that would be disloyal. None of these things sound unreasonable in isolation. Relationships do involve compromise. Partners do have preferences. The difference between a preference and a trap isn't always visible. What makes it a trap is the pattern underneath. The way the standards shift just when you've met them. The way your effort is never quite acknowledged, but your failures are always noted. The way love starts to feel conditional. It's not stated outright, but implied in every disappointed look, every comparison, every reminder of how you used to be. He might not frame it as control. He might frame it as caring. I just want us to be our best. He might frame it as disappointment. I'm not angry, I'm just hurt that you didn't try harder. Or he might frame it as a simple observation. So-and-so's wife manages all of this while working full-time. That last one is worth looking at because what the comparison is actually saying is you're not enough, and here's the evidence. It takes someone else's life, which is curated, incomplete, and uses it as a standard that she's already failing to meet. She can't win that comparison. Nobody can. That's the point. So what happens when she doesn't meet the standard? Sometimes it's disappointment, that quiet and heavy kind. Sometimes it's disengagement. He'll pull back and become distant, possibly withholding physical touch until she figures out what she did wrong and corrects it. Sometimes it's more direct, comments about how she used to look or how she used to be. Correction delivered as concern. Or comparisons. Sometimes it could be the postpartum comment. The ones that arrive when her body has just done something extraordinary, grown and delivered a human, and is still recovering physically and emotionally. There's exhaustion that goes bone deep. The hormones that make everything feel raw and close to the surface. Then the partner who looks at all of that and asks, "Why are you so tired?" Or "Why are you so cranky?" instead of asking, "What do you need? How can I help?" I went back to work 2 weeks after giving birth. 2 weeks. Looking back, I understand the confusion from my partner at the time. There was a disconnect between what he expected and what I had the capacity for. But that confusion was never really about me. It was about this expectation that my body and my life should simply continue on as it had before. That extraordinary things don't require extraordinary recovery. What all of these responses have in common, the disappointment, comparisons, and the postpartum blindness, is what they do over time. When you're constantly measured and found lacking, you stop being able to see what's actually there. The good things about yourself become harder to access. That critical voice starts to sound like your own, and somewhere in the process, you start to believe that the problem is you. That if you just tried harder, looked better, recovered faster, or answered that phone every single time, then things would be different. But the truth is they wouldn't be, because the expectations were never really about you. Here's what I want you to understand about impossible expectations. They aren't about self-improvement. They aren't about having a clean house or a fit body. They're about keeping her attention directed inward at her own perceived failures, so it stays away from the truth. When she's spending her energy trying to meet the standard and trying to figure out what she did wrong this time, trying to be better, look better, or do more, she's not looking clearly at him, at the pattern, and at what this relationship is actually costing her. Perfection doesn't exist. He knows that, which means the standard was never meant to be met. It was meant to keep her trying, keep her grateful for whatever approval she does receive, and keep her believing that she's the variable, that if she just got it right, things would be different. When her self-esteem has eroded enough, when the critical voice has been internalized long enough, she starts to believe she's lucky he's still there, that she really has let herself go, that someone else wouldn't put up with her the way he does, that she should be grateful. But that's not love. That's a trap designed to look like love. The man who notices you seem quieter than usual and actually asks what's wrong, that's care. The man who tells you that you're disrespecting him because the laundry sat too long or your makeup isn't applied perfectly, that's control dressed up as a standard. The difference between those two things is everything. If you've been living inside of a set of expectations that never quite stays still, if you've spent months or years trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, why you can't seem to get it right, why the approval you work so hard for feels like it's always just out of reach, I want you to hear this. It was never really about you. Not the laundry, or your makeup, or the way your body changed after having children. None of it. Those things were never the actual problem. You were never the actual problem. The standard existed to keep you focused on yourself, on your supposed inadequacy, your failure to measure up according to this standard, so you couldn't see clearly. You were not failing to meet a reasonable standard. You were failing to meet an impossible one. And impossible standards aren't set by accident. The critical voice that sounds like yours now, the one that says you should be grateful, that no one else would put up with you, that voice was installed. It didn't come from you. It came from someone who needed you to believe those things. You don't have to keep believing it. I'm Ria, and I hope you'll join me as I continue this conversation. Until next time.